What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today I am reviewing the DrunkDeer A75 Pro, a keyboard that might just be one of the coolest keyboards I've ever used personally. Whether you are a gamer or someone who just spends way too much time typing on a computer, this keyboard has a lot to offer. And also, if you're already sold just by the way it looks and you want to check it out, links in the description to grab yours today. Before we dive into the review on this channel, we talk about tech from an intentional living and minimalist perspective. We love form and we love function. So if that sounds cool to you, please consider subscribing and like this video for more. I've tried quite a few keyboards over the years. I wouldn't say a ton, but obviously the Apple keyboards on the MacBook, the chiclet keys that come with their Magic keyboards. I've tried the MX Mechanical, which I have a video review of. You can check it out here. I've tried Keychron, I've tried Newfie, and this might just be my favorite. You know, upon first impressions, like the way it feels, the way it types, the weight of it, like there's just so much, the design, we'll get into all this, but there's so much here that I like better than any keyboard I've ever used. And again, this is like my first gaming nice keyboard, so take that with a grain of salt. I mean, I'm a huge sucker for just minimal like black and white with pops of color. You've got the white keyboard, the optional enter and escape keys here in orange that come with it, or you can just make those white, which I might go back to. I like the full just one color look. Also, the speckled casing here is just a super nice touch. It looks really nice and I really like that subtle feature. So I'll admit, like, I'm not a hardcore gamer, so I don't care about things like ultra low latency and things like that. But if you are a gamer, later on in the video, I'm gonna pass this review over to my buddy Chase and he's gonna talk about his thoughts on this. He loves gaming and I wanted to see his thoughts. You know, being someone who cares about a lot of the features that are included with this that just I'll never make use of, I'm interested to hear his thoughts. So let's talk some more about the design features with this keyboard. So as I've said, it's got a nice clean aesthetic. I'm not a huge fan of this like golden bar here. I'd rather it just be white. And this is nice. I don't mind the little DrunkDeer badge here, but I'm not a huge fan of this. But the good news is, like, I never see it because it's facing my computer screen. I don't hate it, I just don't love it. So one thing that I didn't expect to like is I'm not a huge RGB fan whatsoever. I've tried to use it and I just don't like it. However, there is one setting on here that has this pastel version of RGB, and that's kind of nice. It's kind of like white mixed with like green and I think red, orange, and yellow. And that is a super clean look. It's kind of just like an off-white almost. It's a pastel look. And that's my favorite version of RGB that I've ever seen. I also love just rocking the white color coming out from the keys. I think that's nice. It looks nice with no light at all as well. But if I do turn the lights on, it's either that pastel color or it's that white light shining from behind the keys. But it's got full RGB. There's all different effects you can use as well. Options, people, you know, we love options. A couple more things. One, you do have these like rubber stand pieces here and they actually compress a little bit as well, which makes the whole typing experience super nice. And you can see hopefully right there how like when I push, the keyboard actually lowers down into the table. It's just really nice using this. I think it's a great design feature. Again, I'm sure it has more to do with like gaming and stuff, but as just like a regular typing keyboard, it's just a nice experience. Final thing I'll mention is the volume knob here with a play pause as well. Having volume control on a keyboard is super important to me. It's one of those things where I didn't know I needed it until I didn't have it. I know a lot of keyboards will like hide controls and like the function bar and stuff, which is fine, but just having sort of a dedicated space for music control is huge to me. I listen to music almost all day while I'm working. So being able to turn it up and down really quickly and really precisely with this volume control and play pause is just a super nice thing that like, I kind of don't know if I can go back to not having a volume control on a keyboard. And I just feel if I ever have a keyboard without it from here on out, I'm gonna miss it. All right, so let's just talk about everyday use case functionality. How it feels to use this thing. Typing on it is literally fantastic. The linear switches are quiet and super smooth and just overall just really satisfying to type on. Another thing is the weight. This has heft to it and it just feels solid on the desk. It's got those rubber pads so it doesn't move around a lot. And I can assume for gaming that makes a lot of sense that it has a weight to it. I think for typing, it's fantastic. It just, I don't know, the weight, everything about it is just solid and it feels secure. and it's just a joy to type on. One thing I would probably add if I wanted to is maybe a wrist rest, just because like you can see there's a good amount of height here. It's not super low. I'm used to typing on chiclet keys like on my MacBook and stuff, so having the keys like basically on the table is the thing I'm used to. I think I've gotten used to this, and I do keep the stands up so it's more propped up like this, and I don't mind it, but I could see where a wrist rest would actually feel really nice with this, especially for longer typing sessions if I'm writing a script or, you know, a paper or some sort of document. So now let's talk about the keycaps. I know with these types of keyboards, you can replace keycaps. You can buy different colors, different textures and things like that. I think the keycaps that come with this are okay. They feel great. They look great. I think the thing that I've noticed that really bothers me, which is probably not a huge deal, is some of the lettering, like on the menu button, especially, like the E on there is kind of coming off. And if you look at the E on other keycaps that have a lowercase e, it's not like just the way the E is designed. It actually looks like it's kind of coming off a bit. And I'll also say not all of the fonts are weighted the same. Like the main keycaps are all kind of bolded, and then like these other ones are like a different size and stuff, which that might just be a thing keyboards do, but it's something that I've noticed, and I don't know how I feel about it. I think that's probably up to the user, individually subjective, but just something I noticed that I think it could be more succinct and consistent across the keyboard. But again, keycaps aren't super expensive. You can just buy new ones or whatever you want to do, and I probably should look into doing that as well. All right, so let's talk about the things that I don't love so much about the keyboard. It's not a lot. I'll go ahead and say that. One is I just kind of wish it was Bluetooth. Just because I'm so used to a Bluetooth keyboard, being able to move it around, move it over here, and not have like it tied to the desk in any sort of way. Obviously for gaming, it means a lot to have an actual like hardwired in connection when you're playing for latency reasons and stuff like that. But for me personally, I don't really need that. I wish it was Bluetooth, or that there was like a Bluetooth switch or something, or you could choose between the two. But that's just something I like about keyboards mostly, and it's not going to prevent me from using this keyboard as my everyday keyboard. The other thing is this is laid out for a Windows PC. There's no command buttons and things like that for a Mac, which again, you can buy different keycaps, and there's actually, if you hit menu and M, it will switch the keyboard to be that menu, that keyboard layout for a Mac. So you're using Alt, like Alt C, Alt V for copy paste instead of the Windows C, Windows V, because Alt is where the command key is on a Mac. So stuff like that. I do like that there are function buttons here, like a play and pause, you know, as F8 and F9 and F7 are forward and back with music and stuff like that. I kind of wish there were, part of me wishes that there were icons to show like those options, but I also kind of like the minimal layout of this and not having too much on the keys, so I could see that going both ways there. So I'm a little undecided what I truly feel. There's a nice little card that comes in the box that shows you how to use all of the keyboard shortcuts and stuff like that. So once you learn them, I think it's just kind of second nature, or like muscle memory, I guess I should say. All right, as I mentioned before, I'm not the appropriate person to talk about this as a gaming keyboard. I'm not a huge gamer by any means, and so I'm gonna pass this off to my buddy Chase and get his thoughts on what he thinks of the DrunkDeer A75 Pro.
The quality of the keyboard felt great. It has a really solid base, which I like having like a heavier keyboard because it's like stable and it won't move around a lot. And you can tell it's like a high quality product whenever it's got like the kind of marble design around the base and like that cool thin gold piece on the back of it. It's just really high quality. I like it a lot. The current keyboard I have is an Apex 9 TKL, and that's an optical switch keyboard, and this one is a magnetic switch keyboard. And you can tell the difference between the two like a lot, because the optical one is a lot clickier and you can tell which button you're pressing by that, which is like fine and everything. But this one I personally like more because of how quieter and softer it is, and it's so much more of like a satisfying sound whenever you press it, and it just makes like the gaming experience overall better. It's really responsive. Whenever I first opened it up and I went to the software, it was super easy to turn the actuation point from like whatever it was at the beginning to 0.2, which is really good. So whenever I like barely pressed down on it, it's really responsive, and it immediately like did whatever I wanted it to do. I would give it like a solid 8.5, just because there's always like room for improvement, but like, and nothing perfect. But then again, it's like a really solid keyboard. So I'd say 8.5 or a 9. overall, the main thing for me about it is how easy it was to like set up if you want to change any of the colors or like the specific software, like macros or any of that stuff. But I also really just like the aesthetics. It's extremely aesthetically pleasing, just like the bait, like the frame itself and the keycaps, and it's just it all goes together, and I like it a lot.
Chase is awesome, and in fact, he does have a YouTube channel, TikTok, I think, as well, and I think he streams on Twitch. Links for his channels will be down below if you want to catch some of his gameplay. But thanks, Chase, for helping review this from your perspective. I think it's really going to help out with the video. And I hope it gave you more insights into if you would like to use this for a gaming keyboard as well. But that's going to do it for this review. Thanks again to DrunkDeer for sending this out for us to review. We appreciate it, and thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing, like this video for more, watch this video next. I think you're going to love it, and we'll see you all in the next one.